channel. Today we're making vegan banana bread muffins. Now don't turn me off yet because I said vegan. Vegan baking can be just as fun as regular baking, and today we're going to be learning some pretty interesting things about it too. So these muffins for the most part are pretty normal. The only vegan part is that instead of regular chicken eggs, we're making flax eggs. Now I know that sounds pretty disgusting and weird, but it's not, trust me. Okay, so we're going to jump right in. When you are baking vegan and there is flax egg in the recipe, you want to make that first because you're mixing ground flaxseed and water together, and you have to let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes to gel up in order to use it and to make the recipe correctly. So since it has to sit a couple minutes, I always say do this first. So to make the flax egg, we're going to be adding 6 tablespoons of water to 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed. Now this is to make 2 flax eggs, so if you're only making 1, it's 3 tablespoons of water to 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed. Now the reason we want to use ground flaxseed is basically just because it's more combined, where if you were to use whole flaxseed, it's just the outside that's going to gel up, and also it's not going to disperse through the mixture that great because it's larger, so the surface area is smaller when you ground it up. So you can either find the flaxseed pre-ground or grind it up in a coffee grinder. And as you can see, the mixture is very liquidy right now. It just looks like some flaxseed suspended in water, but after about 5 to 10 minutes, it's going to gel up and really have the consistency of like an egg white. So we're going to just set this aside while I explain flaxseed a little more in detail. So in order to really understand how flaxseed works in vegan baking as an egg replacer, you really have to understand how eggs work in baking. Now, eggs contribute 3 aspects to baking. They are a foaming agent, an emulsifier, and they create structure. And it's really hard to find an ingredient that does all 3 of those, and 3 of those very effectively. In my last video, where I made chocolate chip cookies, I talked a little bit about the emulsifying aspect of the eggs. Basically, yolks are made of fat, and egg whites are made of protein. Now, the fat is what is the emulsifier in the egg, the yolk. So how an emulsifier works is we'll take an oil molecule and a water molecule and work as kind of like a middleman to keep them together so they are combined. The structure aspect of an egg comes from the protein, so the egg white part. When an egg is raw, the proteins are really balled up, and when heat's added, they denature, so they'll go from balled up to being unfolded and straight. And so when this happens, they'll join together to create structure in the baked good. So the third aspect is the foaming agent, and this is what happens when you beat egg whites on a mixer and it goes from liquid stage to a foam, and literally the foam can get so stiff that you can turn the ball upside down and no egg whites are going to fall out. And this is because just like heat, beating the egg whites also denatures the proteins, so you're going to get a lot of volume. Now, flaxseed are biologically and chemically much different than chicken eggs, obviously because they're a plant compared to a chicken egg, which is from an animal. So there's 2 reasons why this is. Flaxseed is a hydrocolloid, and this basically means that when water is added, it gels or thickens. So other hydrocolloids are agar-agar, carrageenan, pectin, potato starch, cornstarch, all of those. The second important thing about flaxseed is that it's a polysaccharide, and polysaccharides break down sugar to make energy. So sugar is hygroscopic, which means water-loving. So flaxseed holds on to water really well. So these 2 aspects are what contribute to making flaxseed one of the best egg replacers for all 3 aspects of the egg. The only thing is that it's not the greatest foaming agent, but it'll foam up enough to where it works well in muffins, cookies, quick breads, pancakes, but I would not recommend using flaxseed as an egg replacer in meringue or angel food cake or in waffles when you whisk up the egg whites, because it's just not going to work correctly. Now we're going to make the muffins. So I set the oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm going to let that preheat while I mix it all together. The first step is you're going to take 1 ball and you're going to add 4 very, very ripe bananas to the bowl. Now, my bananas were from the freezer, and this is a good trick to, if you have really new bananas that are too yellow, and you want to make banana bread, you could put them in the freezer for overnight basically, and then they'll brown up and get really soft, and you just have to defrost them before you use them. Now I'm using a potato masher to mash up my bananas. If you don't have one, you can just use a fork. It works just as great. Now, bananas add a lot of sweetness, they add moisture and flavor to our banana bread. And bananas also are an acidic fruit, so they react pretty well with baking soda. But of course, the more ripe they get, the sweeter, so the less acidic they are. So these ones aren't going to be the greatest for reacting with our baking soda, but this recipe also uses brown sugar. And as I talked about in my chocolate chip cookie video, brown sugar has molasses, which is acidic and reacts with baking soda. So the baking soda and the little bit of acidity left in these bananas is what's going to make our muffins rise really well. To this bowl of my mashed bananas, I am adding 2 teaspoons of baking soda, half a teaspoon of kosher salt, half a teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Next to the bowl, we're adding half a cup of brown sugar, or 100 grams. And you can use light or dark brown sugar. I have light on hand, but dark will give it more of a molassesy flavor. Next, you're going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1/4 cup of vegetable oil, or 55 grams. And you can use vegetable oil, canola oil, or even coconut oil as the oil in these. And we're going to add those 2 flax eggs that we made in the beginning. And next, we're going to be adding our all-purpose flour, which is 1½ cups, or 195 grams. And then we're adding our rolled oats, which is ½ cup, or 50 grams. We're going to mix that about 75% of the way. And then we're going to add 1 cup of chocolate chips or nuts. I have chocolate chips, so that's what I'm adding. I'd say this is about 75% of the way. So now I'm adding my 1 cup of chocolate chips. So as you can tell, it's a very straightforward recipe. There's not many vegan parts about it. The only thing are the flax eggs, as I said in the beginning of the video. And it also only uses 1 bowl, so win-win-win. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put it into a either greased, or you could put muffin cups into your muffin tray. And this makes about 16 regular sized muffins, but feel free to make different sizes if you want. And I scoop it about 3/4 of the way full, and then they'll rise to the top. And I bake them for 15 to 20 minutes. It really varies on your oven. Mine is pretty powerful, so in 15 minutes exactly, mine are done. So I'd say check it around 10 and then decide how many more minutes to add. And these are really great for breakfast, for a snack. If you want to, you could even freeze them and then put them in your toaster oven to have for breakfast on the go. So that's it. That is how we make our vegan banana bread muffins. And I hope you learned something about vegan baking and also about eggs in general and how they work in baking. And please like, comment, subscribe to my channel, and check out my blog. I will also link my Instagram because I post on there a lot of things that I make. And I hope you'll have a great day and stay safe and healthy. Bye everyone.